Guys, I saw this video on YouTube. It's called Ranking Every Clash Royale Card by their aura. And yeah. Okay, let's see.
Clash Royale has over 100 cards, but to be fair, most of them are for NPCs. We all know that one guy, the guy who thinks he's good because he maxed out his credit card to buy a level 15 P.E.K.K.A. So today I'm ranking 40 cards based on their aura. The criteria is simple. First is, does it require skill? Second, does it look cool? And third, are you just spamming it at the bridge like a toddler with a sugar rush? If you play the first 10 cards on this list, you are in massive aura debt. And statistically speaking, you're definitely single. Let's begin. Number 40, Elite Barbarians. If you have these in your deck, seek help immediately. These two are the definition of negative aura. They run fast because they're running away from their problems. They make that grunt sound, the one that sounds like two cavemen fighting over a drumstick. It's the sound of depression. And trust me, I would know. You play a card costing 6 elixir, they get distracted by a single skeleton, and then they die. Playing E-Barbs is basically announcing to the world that you have 0 patience and 0 skill. You want the game to end in 30 seconds because your attention span can't handle a full match. Straight into the trash. Number 39, Mega Knight. Ah yes, the mid-ladder menace, the king of noobs. This guy thinks he has aura because he's big and wears armor, but he's actually just a fat guy who likes to jump. He's the ultimate crutch card. You don't know how to defend, just drop him in. Bro has 2 giant balls for hands, and he still misses. He jumps around like a frog in a suit of armor. If your strategy is wait for them to cross the bridge and drop a big heavy man, you are a certified gooner. You probably eat cereal with a fork. Your aura level is at rock bottom. Hell, might even be below it. Number 38, Electro Giant. Look at this walking trash can. His entire mechanic is hit me and you hurt yourself. That's the most cowardly mechanic in gaming history. Paying others back who hurt him is this card's personality. He doesn't even attack until he reaches the tower. He just walks, letting the Tesla coil do all the work. He's like a zombie with a battery pack, but the moment he faces a real tank, he crumbles like a cookie. He relies on the opponent being stupid enough to swarm him. That is some massive aura debt. Number 37, Freeze. Oh no, I played bad. Let me just pause the game for 4 seconds. This is the panic button for bad players. There is nothing cool about freezing a tower because you couldn't break through with skill. It's literally admitting that you cannot beat the opponent in a fair fight. You gotta tie their shoelaces together to win. And if you miss your freeze, you look like the biggest clown on earth. Just spending 4 elixir to make the arena cold. Congratulations, it's a cheap trick, and tricks have no aura. Number 36, Barbarian Hut. Sim City gameplay. Imagine loading into a high-octane battle game and your move is to build a house and then sit there, watching little men run out that door. It costs 7 elixir. 7. For that price, it should spawn a P.E.K.K.A, but no. It spawns 2 dudes with swords who die to a fireball. It clogs up the lane. It makes the game boring for everyone involved. Pathetic. Speaking of things that are annoying and spawn garbage, Furnace. Number 36, Fernie. The only thing worse than a hut is a walking hut that throws spicy meatballs at you. It requires 0 brain power. You place it in the back and it annoys the opponent. That's it. It forces the opponent to respawn every 7 seconds or take damage. It's nagging. The card. It's not intimidating, it's just a pest, like a mosquito at a barbecue. No aura. Number 34, Minion Horde. Strength in numbers! Yeah, sure buddy. You spend 5 elixir, they spend 3. You just donated the game. You're practically handing your opponent the win on a silver platter. They look scary for exactly half a second. Then they evaporate. Dying instantly is not very aura of you. They are glass cannons without the cannon. Just glass. Number 33, Clone. This is just a gimmick. It's a party trick. Look, now there's 2 of them. It relies on the opponent being asleep at the wheel. Okay, sometimes it does look funny. It creates chaos, but relying on a chaotic spell to win, that's cheese. It's basically saying, I hope you don't have a splash card. And cheese is for rats, not gigachads. Number 32, Rage. Just a bottle of anger issues. At least the lumberjack has to die to drop it. That's sacrifice, honor. But the spell, you're just paying 2 elixir to say, I want to win faster. Impatience is not attractive. It barely does any damage, it just makes your troops purple and angry. Come on, bro. It's not that serious. Number 31, Mirror. Oh, you thought it was clever to do the same thing twice. They'll never expect me to do that same stupid play again. Sure, playing a level 16 card feels powerful, but it's also incredibly cringe. You're paying a +1 elixir tax just to be annoying. It screams I only have one good card in my deck, one trick pony, 0 versatility, and 0 aura. But hold on, before if we see if the rocket lands, I bet you can't hit the subscribe button faster than this rocket hits the tower. Try it. Alright, back to the list. Number 30, Rocket. If you use this to finish a game, you are boring. You're robbing us of a dramatic finish. It's 6 elixir of give up on strategy. Sure, it does massive damage, but missing a rocket is the single most embarrassing moment in a man's life. If you miss, you don't just lose the game, you lose your dignity. You have to delete the app and move to a different country. You lose aura with the rocket itself. Number 29, Goblin Barrel. The defining card of bait. The Goblin Barrel practically screams, please log me, and that's their entire existence. Begging your opponent to use a spell. You're basically a beggar. When it connects, it feels good, but 99% of the time, your goblins land and die. Getting King Tower activated by a tornado, that is aura suicide. Now your opponent has a cannon pointed at you for the rest of the game. Number 38, Skeleton Army. Larry and his cousins. There's something satisfying about swarming a tank. It's like piranhas eating a cow. But let's be real, they are fodder, they are born to die. You play them knowing they'll evaporate in half a second. Unless that one single Larry survives and connects to the tower. That specific Larry, that one, has aura. If you ask me, that Larry has even more aura than the number 1 card in our ranking. But the rest of them, utterly garbage. Number 27, Witch. The Queen of Mid-Ladder. She does everything, but she does everything badly. Her damage is low, her health is low. New players think she's OP because she spawns infinite troops. Good players know she's just kind of free elixir. She's a walking positive elixir trade for your opponent. She walks like she has nowhere to be. Move your feet, Grandma. We have a tower to take. Number 26, Night Witch. She is the witch's emo sister. Her only purpose in life is to spawn bats that can annoy you. She has a staff but hits like a wet noodle. Her bats are literally more useful than her. She is strictly a support card, a sidekick. Sidekicks do not have main character energy. She exists to make the golem look better. Speaking of witches that ruin your day, number 25. Mother Witch, the grandma with the cookies. This card is pure toxicity. You play a swarm, she says, thank you for the easy win, sugar, and turns your own army against you. It's objectively funny to turn your opponent's army into pigs. It's disrespectful, it's chaos, but is it skill? No. You just place her behind a tank and watch the farm grow. Mid-aura. Number 24, Lava Hound. The flying tank. Playing Lava Hound is basically playing solitaire. You place it in the corner and then go make a sandwich. Come back in 30 seconds and see if you won. If the opponent has air defense, you lose. If they don't, you win. But after a decade, it attacks like it's tickling the tower. Threatening? Yeah. Cool? Nah, it's like watching a flying meatball. Number 23. Golem. The Rock. This is the ultimate I don't care what you do card. Opponent pushing the other lane, ignore it. Opponent emoting, ignore it. Golem players have a simple brain. Build push, take 3 crown. They don't know what defense is. It's brute force, it works, but it is the strategy of a caveman. Me place rock, me go smash. Slightly more aura than E-Giant, but just barely. Number 22. Balloon. The most stressful card in the game. That initial hit does so much damage, it's actually illegal. One hit and the tower is half gone. With every ounce of respect in my body, balloon players are psychos. They will throw this thing at the bridge with 0 elixir and pray. They live for the gamble. High risk, high reward, but mostly just annoying cheese that makes your opponent sweat. Number 21, Graveyard. This card is the embodiment of RNG. Sometimes the skeletons spawn perfectly and take the tower. Sometimes they spawn in Narnia and do nothing. You're leaving your win condition up to luck. You're rolling the dice and hoping the game likes you today. A true Giga Chad controls his destiny. He doesn't roll the dice. He makes luck his destiny by pure skill. Graveyard is effective, but it's for gamblers, not for winners. We are done with the spam. We're done with the luck. If you want the aura of a champion, you know what to click. Now let's look at the cards that actually require a brain. Number 20, Electro Wizard. He enters with a zap. Electricity. He screams every time he attacks. He's got crazy hair. He constantly interrupts your opponent's troops. He's the, actually, of Clash Royale cards. He's the ultimate disruptor. He ruins the flow, but he's squishy. If you let him die, he's just a funny guy with a perm. But keep him alive, and that is pure control. Number 19, Phoenix. The bird that refused to die. I live, bitch. That is this card's energy. It looks majestic, it's literally made of fire, it pushes heavy units like they weigh nothing. But if your egg gets destroyed by a log, you go from legendary bird to omelet. Or a deduction for being delicious. Number 18, Bowler. Look at this big old blue dude. He does not care about the battle. He just wants to bowl. Bye-bye. He treats the enemy win conditions like bowling pins. He's calm, he's nonchalant. Being unbothered in a chaotic situation is a sign of high aura. He's just chilling and enjoying it while everyone else is fighting for their lives. Speaking of things that keep on rolling, number 17, the Cannon Cart, a troop on wheels. Oh, you killed me? Just kidding. Now I'm a turret. This card is the definition of reliable. It doesn't do anything flashy, it just does its job. Doesn't complain, it's like a Toyota Corolla. It's not a Ferrari, but it will survive the apocalypse. I'd say it has respectable or
not a sponsor. Not a sponsor.
Number 16, Skeleton King, the big bone daddy himself. He walks around collecting souls like he's the Grim Reaper. That's undeniably metal. When you pop that ability at the right time and that army rises, it feels like a movie scene. But if you pop the ability with 0 souls, you just spawn 2 Larrys and look stupid. He's the Sung Jinwoo of Clash Royale. Kind of, but with less powerful summons. Arise, Okiro. Number 15, Royal Delivery, the Amazon Prime package of death. Most players forget this card exists, and that is why it has aura. It requires timing. You can't just spam it. You have to predict the future. You have to read your opponent's mind. If you miss, it's a tragedy. If you hit, you're a tactical genius. Number 14, Poison. Rocket is for brutes. Poison is for villains. It's a slow, painful death. Go ahead, walk through it. I dare you. It creates a no-fly and walk zone on the map. It commands respect. It's subtle, and subtlety is the mark of a true master. Number 13, Hunter. The eyebrows alone give him plus 50 aura. His mechanic is pure testosterone. Most ranged units want to stay far away. Hunter wants to get close. He wants to smell your fear. He requires perfect positioning. If you place him wrong, he does nothing. A card for men, not boys. Number 12, Golden Knight. Look at this glorious mane. This man is pure Riz. He never stops smiling. His ability is literally broken if you know how to use it correctly. You need a degree in calculus to predict where he'll go, but when he hits a wall, he looks like an idiot. But when he chains to the tower, he is the main character. Number 11, Monk. Peace, serenity, return to sender. This is the ultimate know you card. Watching your opponent's own spell destroy them is the funniest thing in Clash Royale. It is psychological warfare. He doesn't fight with anger, he fights with wisdom. So we're bordering on Giga Chad territory now. We've cleared the spam, we've cleared the mid-ladder menace. The next 10 cards are the Hall of Fame. If you main these, you're built different. Number 10, Fireball. The old reliable. It's not flashy like Rocket, it's not toxic like Poison, it's just pure concentrated, get deleted my friend. Nothing feels better than a prediction Fireball. You throw it before they even place the card and destroy them. I hope that's close to the Minecraft damage noise. It makes us feel like my homeboy Muhammad Light. It pushes back, it destroys, it wins games. Simple, clean, classic. Number 9, Hog Rider. He's the face of the game for a reason. He has a mohawk, he rides a pig, he wields a hammer. He is iconic. People call him spam, but playing Hog Rider at high level requires the fingers of a pianist. You have to outcycle, you have to predict. He's loud and he's goddamn undeniable. Number 8, Expo, the villain. To play Expo, you have to be a bit insane. You place one building and then you defend it with your life. It is a siege. It forces the opponent to play your game. You want to attack? Too bad. Deal with this. It's hated, but he just stands there, slowing everything down, looking unbothered.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
There's a Patrick impression for you. He controls time itself. That is power. And speaking of things you can't touch, number 6, Royal Ghost. He's the only card that forces you to stare at the screen, and if you blink, he connects. He floats, he sleeps until he hits, and he vanishes after he kills. He's a phantom. He's a phantom. He's mysterious. He is pure drippy aura. He doesn't walk, he glides. Number 5, Mortar. The Thinking Man's Expo. The blind spot is the most Giga Chad mechanic in the game. Oh, you placed a tank to distract me. I don't care. I'm shooting over him. It disrespects the tank, it pulls tanks, it snipes towers, it costs 4 elixir. If you lose to Mortar, you didn't get spammed, you got outplayed, you got checkmated. Number 4, Bandit. The Speed Demon. That split second of invincibility, that is the skill check. If you time it right, she is immortal. You can dash through boulders, dash through explosions, she's slippery, she hits hard, and she does it with style. Calculated aggression. Number 3, Fisherman. Fish Slab. This card requires a PhD in geometry. One wrong placement, you lose. One correct placement, you activate King Tower and gain enormous advantage in the game. He dictates where the pieces go. He's the puppet master. He tells the opponent's troops where to stand. Also, he slaps people with a fish. If that isn't aura, I don't know what is. Number 2, Miner. The king of control. The game literally has a tip saying nerf Miner. Achieving that alone requires massive aura. He can go anywhere, he's always there, digging, chopping, tanking. He's the hardest working card in the game. He's the backbone of the highest skill decks in history. He doesn't need a sword or an axe, he just needs a shovel. Pure competence, pure aura. And finally, number 1, Magic Archer. The Geometry God. This is it, the highest skill ceiling in the game. You're not just playing Clash Royale, you're playing pool, playing snooker. You use the lessons you learned from your geometry class, lining up that perfect angle, seeing the arrow fly through the tank, and hearing that ching sound on the tower. It is the most satisfying feeling in the world. If you master the Magic Archer, you aren't just a player, you're an artist. Rank 1, infinite aura. But the Geometry God wasn't always this respected. In fact, he has the craziest backstory in Clash Royale history. If you want to see how he went from 0 to infinite aura, and how he literally broke the game, click this video right here. It explains the entire history of the Magic Archer. Go study geometry, and I'll see you there.
Wait, should we watch this? Yeah, let's watch it.
Magic Archer stands out as one of the most versatile and strategic cards in Clash Royale. Its ability to pierce through multiple units with precise geometry makes it a powerful asset in many decks. Few cards have been pushed to their limits as much as this one, but his journey, it's been a roller coaster. One month he was completely ruined, and the next he made a shocking comeback. This is the full story of his rise, fall, and redemption. Get ready. To understand why players perceive this card as so unique and unmatched, we will have to go way back to 2016, where the game looked nothing like current Clash Royale. No clan wars, no battle pass, no cool unique chests or crates, no masteries, no champions, not even legendaries before the global launch. To quickly recap legendaries, they were very unique cards with abilities no other classes possessed back then, unlike today where a common card has better abilities than some legendaries. When the game launched globally, the only legendary cards available were the Princess and the Ice Wizard, and everyone wanted them. These cards were the stuff of dreams, and people hoped to get their hands on them. If you ask anyone who's been playing since 2016, they'll tell you the same thing. Those were the cards that everyone was chasing after. The Magic Archer, like many other cards back then, was first available in the Magic Archer Draft Challenge, which started on February 16th, 2018. This challenge was similar to a regular draft challenge, but with a twist. One player had the chance to choose who would use the Magic Archer. If a player managed to secure 12 wins, they would unlock the Magic Archer early. Interestingly, from February 23rd to 26th of the same year, the shop featured a special offer where Arena 11 Plus players could purchase up to 9 fortune chests for 1,000 gems each. These chests had a 33% chance of containing the Magic Archer with the first and second chests, and the third chest guaranteed it. However, if a player obtained the Magic Archer in the first or second chest, the third chest would not guarantee it. This process was repeated in subsequent trios of chests. Ultimately, the Magic Archer was officially released on March 2nd, 2018. From his introduction video, everyone knew he would change the entire game. And rightfully so. But before we dive into the Magic Archer's crazy history, let me tell you about something pretty cool. We all spend way too much time playing Clash Royale, whether it's on the toilet, in school, or when we should probably be doing something else. But what if, instead of just grinding through ladder matches, you could actually earn real money while using your phone? That is where Tester Up comes in. It lets you get paid for testing different apps and games. No gimmicks, just real cash for completing simple tasks. I've used the app myself, and honestly, it's pretty easy and fun to use. You just sign up, pick an app to test, and get started. The best part? There are constantly new tasks all the time, and you can start anytime, enjoy testing apps, and earn money while doing it. So here's how it works. You sign up for free in seconds, pick an app to test, and then complete some users is the real today. Now, let's get back to the Magic Archer's wild journey. When he was first introduced to the game, his stats were relatively weak compared to many other cards. However, the fact that he was a legendary card with a unique ability made him stand out like a spotlight. His area damage and DPS were both set at 96, which wasn't particularly high, and he had exactly 490 hit points, meaning he wasn't the tankiest unit either. But what truly made him special was his arrows. Back then, his hit speed was 1 second, and his arrow speed was as fast as the Dart Goblins, which is pretty damn fast. His attack range was 7 tiles, 2 tiles shorter than the Princess, but here is the crazy part. His arrows traveled an insane 11 tiles, letting him hit targets from even further away than the Princess, outranging her by 3 tiles. What set the Magic Archer apart from other ranged troops was how his arrows worked. Instead of hitting a single target and disappearing, his arrows pierced through enemies, damaging everything in their path. With a small splash radius of 0.25, he could easily counter swarms like Skeleton Army. His attack required precise placement to maximize damage, making him one of the most skill-based cards in the game. Players often use cheap troops like Skeletons, Ice Spirit, or the popular Ice Golem to lure enemies into a line, setting up some devastating shots. This unique ability made positioning crucial, leading to the famous phrase, "Magic Archer is all about geometry." His gameplay relied on angles and lining up shots for maximum value. He was especially strong against swarms like Skeleton Army, Bats, Spirit Cards, and even Minion Horde, but only with the right placement. His effectiveness wasn't just about stats, it was all about positioning. For example, if you were to place a Magic Archer directly in front of a charging Minion Horde, he would only be able to take down 2 minions at a time, and before he could eliminate the rest, he would be as good as dead. However, if you positioned him closer to the center of the arena, the minions would get kited into his line of fire, allowing his arrows to pierce through all of them efficiently. In this setup, Magic Archer could wipe out the entire minion horde without taking a single hit. That was just one of many examples showing how much skill it took to use Magic Archer effectively. Unlike other splash damage cards that offered easy value, his strength relied entirely on precise placement and geometry. Skilled players could pull off incredible plays, making him one of the most rewarding cards for those who mastered him. He provided great chip damage to both troops and towers, making him a valuable support card in countless decks, but he had his fair share of weaknesses too. Magic Archer struggled against stronger troops and even had trouble with goblins, which were just too fast for him to react in time. Even bats, a swarm he technically counters, could actually counter him if placed directly above. His arrows have a small splash radius, but not wide enough to hit bats from above. It wasn't easy to pull off, but if he was busy sniping a princess tower, it was possible. But here is the funny part. Despite his weaknesses, Magic Archer could counter both the bowler and the bandit. And speaking of the bandit, she and Magic Archer seem to have some kind of connection. But nobody really knows what it is. Ever since its release, players have speculated about their relationship. There are several hints that suggest they might be related. For one, Magic Archer wears a hood, just like the bandit. In fact, early concept art shows he was originally meant to wear it fully, but that idea was scrapped before release. They also have the same hair color and a similar overall vibe. And if you go back to watch the Magic Archer's introduction video, you'll see Bandit was there, casually hanging around. So what's the truth? Are they siblings, cousins, lovers? Some players have even suggested Bandit might be his daughter, though there's never been an official answer. If none of these theories are true, then maybe they were just part of the same gang of thieves. Who knows? Interestingly, there's a Clash-O-Rama episode called Archer Departure, where we actually see these two living and fighting together in a random forest. Normally, Clash-O-Rama episodes don't contribute much to the official game lore, they're just fun little Clash of Clans animations. But this one stands out because Magic Archer isn't even in Clash of Clans, yet he got an episode featuring him. Well, he doesn't exist in the said game, but his mechanic does. There's a troop called the Super Archer who does the exact same as him, but she was released in COC in 2020. What makes this episode particularly interesting is that the Bandit and Magic Archer are shown living in the same camp and fighting together. This strongly suggests that they have some kind of connection, though Supercell has never confirmed exactly what it is. A pretty cool little detail though, huh? You know what, Supercell? Nice one. And if you were wondering, yes, that first battle deck from the episode was real. It's some kind of bridge spam deck, which, kinda sucks. But you know what sucks even more? That you still haven't hit that subscribe button. Do it now, or you might never see me again. Thanks. Now, despite his weakness, the Magic Archer became a favorite among skilled players because of how rewarding he is to use. Mastering his placement and timing can lead to incredible plays, making him one of the most unique and fun cards in Clash Royale. We'll dive deeper into strategy soon because there is so much to appreciate about how this card was designed. From the moment Magic Archer's introduction video dropped, pro players immediately recognized his potential. Some even went as far as to call him a meta-changing card, a bold claim that, unfortunately, wouldn't become a reality for several more years. This wasn't because Magic Archer was weak, rather he was released into a strong and well-established meta that simply didn't favor him. Before 2018, Royal Ghost was completely dominating the game, forcing Supercell to nerf him even before he was made available to everyone. But once Royal Ghost was weakened, Logbait quickly made a comeback as one of the top archetypes. The issue? Logbait decks relied heavily on goblins, and if there was one thing Magic Archer struggled with at launch, it was dealing with fast-moving, low-health swarms like goblins. As a result, despite all the hype surrounding him, his recorded usage rates were abysmally low. So low, they might as well have been 0. And, well, they were 0%. Here's where things get interesting. While official usage statistics suggest that Magic Archer wasn't being played, actual gameplay footage from various pro players told a different story. Many top players experimented with him in different decks, and multiple tournaments, he seemed to perform at a meta-defining level. It was almost as if he was secretly part of the meta, just not in a way that reflected in usage rate reports. Beyond Logbait, the dominant decks at the time were Bridge Spam, Hog Cycle, and Three Musketeers, all of which had solidified their positions in the meta. Yet even as these decks thrived, Magic Archer remained almost non-existent in high ladder play, not even making an appearance in May. In fact, Woody, a well-known community figure who tracked usage rates before Royal API took over in 2018, didn't even bother recording Magic Archer's usage rate. Why? Maybe because he simply wasn't played enough. But then again, gameplay videos from that period tell a completely different story. Starting in February, new Magic Archer decks began emerging. He started appearing in some of the most popular decks floating around at the time. One of the biggest surprises, he was even seen in Logbait, the very deck that was considered the strongest in the game. This new Magic Archer bait deck included all the classic Logbait elements, but added a few key differences, such as Prince and, most importantly, Tornado. As you can imagine, the Tornado and Magic Archer combo was incredibly deadly. It functioned similarly to the well-known Tornado and Executioner synergy, but in many ways, it was even better. With Magic Archer's piercing arrows, players could line up enemy troops perfectly, dealing damage to not just the intended target, but also to anything behind it. This allowed for some insane defensive plays that could immediately turn into counter push.
Switch to TurboTax. File free in the app by 2/28. All 100% free. Now this is taxes.
Got a craving? Wing it. For as little as $6.99, get wings, a personal pan pizza.
There were many variations of this deck, one of them containing the Bandit, which worked interestingly with the Magic Archer. Another deck that took advantage of Magic Archer's strength was an insanely fast Hog Cycle deck. This deck was rumored to have an 80% win rate, which, if true, made it one of the most dominant decks at the time. Just like the Executioner Hog Cycle, this deck also utilized Tornado, making it extremely effective at controlling the battlefield. The synergy between Hog Rider, Magic Archer, and Tornado allowed for both strong offensive and defensive plays, giving players multiple ways to outplay their opponents. Then there was the Battle Ram deck, which also featured Bandit, a card that, again, interestingly, worked surprisingly well with Magic Archer. The two seemed to complement each other perfectly, both in terms of gameplay mechanics and even in their visual design. Whether by coincidence or not, this deck proved to be quite powerful, combining bridge spam elements with long-range utility of Magic Archer. With all of these decks making their way into the meta, it became clear that Magic Archer was getting used quite a lot, especially in grand challenges. People were steamrolling with these Magic Archer decks. He was a legitimate force that could compete at the highest level, just maybe not in the top ladder for now. I mean, what else can explain those very low usage rates? Supercell decided to buff the Magic Archer in April to help it a bit with competitive plays. The buff he got on April 25th increased his projectile speed from 800 to 1000, which made a huge difference. For the first time, he was actually able to counter goblins properly, and huzzah! Even more decks started popping up. You can now have every deck you could think of with the Magic Archer. You want Logbait? That existed. You want a beatdown deck? Also a thing. P.E.K.K.A. Bridge Spam? Here you go. Want to play some Minor Poison? Again? Here, have this P.E.K.K.A. Minor Poison deck. Why not Giant Cycle? There's also the Magic Archer Cycle deck where he himself is the win condition, with other cards. Magic Archer was one of those cards that worked exceptionally well with nearly any other card you could think of. Much like how skeletons fit into almost every deck, Magic Archer followed a similar pattern, but with much more power and versatility. How cool is that? His ability to adapt and synergize with so many different strategies was one of the reasons why he quickly gained attention. These, along with many other decks, were the ones going viral and making their way into the meta during 2018. It would honestly take a long time to list every great deck that used him, so for now I will keep it short and sweet. Now, when it comes to Magic Archer's usage rates, there's a bit of a mystery. Unfortunately, there wasn't any recorded data for the whole year, so we can't say for sure just how often he was played at the top ladder, nor in grand challenges. However, if we were to take an educated guess, I'd estimate his usage in top ladder was around 15%, a solid number for a card that was still relatively new and evolving. But here is the kicker. In December of that year, his usage rate in top ladder apparently was down at 0%. And the reason for that might be the nerf he got in November. On November 5th, Supercell increased the Magic Archer's first attack time interval to 0.9 seconds from 0.4, which means that now his first attack was half a second slower before the nerf. Magic Archer was pretty well known for his speed, and seeing that just thrown out the window was a bit of an oof. Many players reported that it felt very sluggish. Tough break, but you gotta do what you gotta do to keep the game balanced. So that's probably why it died out. It also shows how the meta continued to shift, leaving Magic Archer in a tricky spot despite all the potential he had. I may have a rather understandable explanation as to why his usage was down that low despite being a community favorite. At the time, the meta was dominated by a few key strategies and cards that many players didn't favor the Magic Archer. One of the most prominent archetypes in December was Hog Cycle, which remained strong and consistent in high-level play. The Hog Rider, supported by cards like Ice Spirit, Cannon, and Musketeer, was a fast and aggressive win condition that didn't necessarily rely on the type of long-range support that Magic Archer provided. Even though that support was great, the main deck did its job perfectly fine without him. Additionally, Golem and Three Musketeer decks were also prominent in the meta, focusing more on heavy pushes and tanky units. These decks often leaned on splash damage or defensive troops like Baby Dragon and Tornado and didn't need Magic Archer's precise ranged attacks to succeed. To add salt to the wound, decks that had more direct damage or faster cycle, like Minor Control, Expo, and Logbait, were gaining popularity. These decks didn't require the high skill and positioning needed to make Magic Archer shine, and were more suited to the fast-paced nature of the December meta. To sum it up, the December 2018 meta was just less favorable for the Magic Archer. With faster, more aggressive decks in play, and other cards better suited to controlling the battlefield, Magic Archer couldn't quite fit in and found himself largely ignored in high ladder play during that time. I still think he fit wonderfully inside the decks, but hey, the community is the community. And finally, we reach 2019. There are still plenty of years to cover, but these next few are especially important. This is when Magic Archer finally started receiving the recognition he deserved. So, how was the start of the year looking? Pretty decent for one. The heal spell got buffed, giving Hog Cycle decks a nice boost, though it didn't do much for Three Musketeers. Royal Ghost also received a buff, making him a more viable option in various decks. Meanwhile, Battle Ram was nerfed because it was providing way too much value, which meant the end of those dominant bridge spam decks. And as for our Magic Archer, well, there was some good news for him too. Supercell realized that the Magic Archer's nerf had been a bit too harsh, so on January 7th, they decided to adjust it slightly to make him more viable again. They decreased his first attack time interval to 0.6 seconds, down from the previously nerfed 0.9. This change meant that he could get his first shot off much quicker, making him feel more responsive in battle. While it wasn't a full reversal of the nerf, it was a step in the right direction, giving him a better chance to compete in fast-paced matchups. This little buff helped the Magic Archer to recover, and it was beginning to be used as a viable card again. It was doing okay until Supercell decided to give him a tiny rework just to boost him again. And it went great. On the 5th of August, Supercell made some significant changes to the Magic Archer, effectively giving him a major buff that would change how he performed in battle. His damage was increased by 16%, making each of his shots hit harder. However, to balance things out, his attack speed interval was slightly increased to 1.1 seconds, up from 1.1. At the same time, they reduced his first attack time interval to 0.5 seconds, down from 0.6, allowing him to get off his first shot slightly faster. While this could be considered a mini rework, overall the buff was a huge win for Magic Archer users. With this increased damage, Magic Archer could now eliminate certain key troops, such as Musketeer, Ice Wizard, and Electro Wizard, one shot faster than before. While at first this might not sound like a massive change, in reality it was kind of a game changer. The fact that he was attacking more quickly and had his long-range piercing shots made this buff even more impactful. But the improvements didn't stop there. Magic Archer was now able to take down Dark Goblin and Princess in just 2 shots, which was a pretty big deal. These long-range troops were often used to chip away at opponents from a distance, so being able to eliminate them faster gave Magic Archer an edge in control-based decks. And then, here's the biggest upgrade. Spear Goblins could now be one-shot, just like skeletons. This was a massive deal, as it meant that Goblin-based strategies, including Goblin Hut and other swarm-heavy decks, became much easier to counter. With just a few well-placed shots, Magic Archer could wipe out small troops more effectively than ever before. This buff was exactly what the Magic Archer needed to finally break into the top ladder. His piercing shots were now far deadlier, and his improved speed made him a must-have in many decks. After this change, he was no longer just a niche card. He was now a top-tier option that competitive players quickly started taking advantage of. Like in the past, Magic Archer was everywhere once again. There were Magic Archer Royal Hog Cycle decks, Magic Archer Bridge Spam decks, P.E.K.K.A. Bridge Spam decks, Giant Cycles, Strong Hog Cycles, etc. This is when the iconic Magic Archer Ram Rider bridge spam was born and getting ready for some action. If Magic Archer's usage rate was recorded at just 3% in January, by December of 2019 it had skyrocketed to an impressive 31% in top ladder play. This, my friends, was the beginning of Magic Archer's golden age, a time when he finally became a true force to be reckoned with. The decks we just mentioned a few seconds ago were rumored to have over 80% win rates. Jesus. And so began 2020. 2020 was a wild year for Clash Royale, and for Magic Archer, it was a continuation of his rise in popularity. By this point, he had cemented himself as a top-tier card, showing up in many high-level decks. Magic Archer continued to thrive in decks like Bridge Spam, Royal Hog Cycle, and various minor control setups for the entire year. He wasn't just a strong support card anymore, he was a meta-defining card. His ability to chip away at towers while simultaneously sniping multiple troops in the backline made him invaluable. The deck I'm going to show you now is one of the best Magic Archer decks the game community has ever made. Magic Archer Wall Breakers Cycle. You had 3 ways to deal chip damage, either with the Wall Breakers, Magic Archer, or the Miner. And the defense Valkyrie and Bats provided was unmatched. It even has Tornado. Everyone knows how deadly that Magic Archer and Tornado combo is. Not only that, you also have the Bomb Tower to defend massive Golem pushes. This deck was just peak. So strong, in fact, that in January they had to nerf the Wall Breakers to balance the meta out. Magic Archer had 20 to 22% usage rates in January and February, and he was one of the top cards inside of the entire game. He was meta for a couple of months before receiving a small range nerf in April. On April 7th, Supercell reduced the Magic Archer's attack range from 7 tiles down to 6. And while this might seem like a minor tweak, in reality it was absolutely devastating. His usage rate plummeted to just 2% that same month. The reason for this drastic drop is pretty simple. Imagine designing a sniper unit in a game, giving it a long-range advantage, and then suddenly cutting that range in half. The sniper would lose its primary strength, making it far less effective. That's exactly what happened to the Magic Archer. Previously, he could snipe troops and buildings from a safe distance, avoiding danger while dealing damage, but after the nerf, he had to step closer to his targets, putting him in greater risk of getting killed. This change severely weakened his signature ability, lining up long-range shots to maximize value. As a result, many players abandoned him, and his presence in the meta nearly disappeared. Fortunately, the team at Supercell quickly realized their mistake and wasted no time in fixing it. Just a month later, on May 5th, they restored Magic Archer's range back to 7 tiles. To balance this buff out, they gave him a minor 10% HP nerf, reducing his health from 490 down to 441. This trade-off was widely accepted by the community. Most players agreed that keeping its range intact was far more important than a slight reduction in health. After all, Magic Archer wasn't supposed to be a tanky unit. His strength came from his ability to snipe enemies from a safe distance. With this update, he was finally back to his original form, and players welcomed the change with open arms. In the same month, Tornado got reworked as well. The team decreased the Tornado's duration to 1.05 seconds from 2.05 and increased its pulling power to 360% from 220, and also increased its damage by 100%. It was also changed to damage buildings. At first glance, it looked okay, but reducing Tornado's duration from 2.05 seconds to just 1.05 was a huge change for the Magic Archer. That was because it meant that troops wouldn't stay clumped together for as long. Despite this, the Magic Archer Wallbreaker's cycle deck became popular again, and this was when it was probably at its peak. A lot of players played this deck when it was meta before, so yeah, everyone and their mother started playing it again when they saw the buff. Magic Archer's usage rate did go up again from 2% to 12% in May, but in June it flopped hard. It got to 6%. New decks started becoming meta, like Graveyard Freeze, Goblin Cage decks, etc. The meta was slowly shifting, but Magic Archer decks were still hanging on. Do you remember the Magic Archer Ram Rider Bridge Spam deck? Well, it's popular again, and the new Heal Spirit card is helping out quite a lot. I really love this deck, because the Lumberjack's push clears most of the danger out of the way while being supported by the Magic Archer from behind, and after Lumberjack dies and drops his rage, the Magic Archer goes on a rampage. It is beautiful. And that concludes 2020, the year Magic Archer was at its peak. He truly deserved the title he had. I'm not going to explain again why. But before we continue to this next year, I almost forgot to mention November and December. You see, a lot of cards died during these 2 months because of a certain card that broke the game again, the Elite Barbarians. And instead of taking down the Magic Archer, he actually worked well with them. Players created a strong freeze spell deck called E-Barb's Freeze, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It even had the Ram Rider, so Magic Archer was able to fit relatively easy into this deck, which is pretty cool. Better than dying off completely, at least. Alright. Magic Archer did not receive any balance changes for 3 years after 2020 because he was already fairly balanced. His usage rates now depended entirely on other card balance changes and the meta shifts. 2021 was pretty okay for the Magic Archer, nothing really crazy happened with him, and his usage rate was around 7 to 10% for the entire year. After the champions dropped in October, he still managed to do pretty okay with just 7% usage. He didn't die like a lot of other cards. Decks in 2021 were mostly the same as the previous year. There just was a new Goblin Drill deck Magic Archer was in, and he worked very well with it as well. Tornado and Magic Archer were back again together, and it's how Magic Archer pulled through the massive meta shift
Oh, jeez.
the champion update caused. Magic Archer and Tornado, when paired with the freeze spell, created an absolutely devastating
best
combo,
friends.
and honestly, it was overpowered. The setup was expensive and hard to pull off, but when it worked, it was incredibly satisfying. 2022 was also a great year for Magic Archer, and it can be considered one of the best years for him. His decks were still performing well in the meta, with usage rates rumored to be over 90%. Some classic decks made a comeback that year, like the 2.9 Giant Mini P.E.K.K.A. Cycle deck, which worked great with Magic Archer, especially with his ability to deal massive damage from a distance and provide support. As the year went on, new decks started emerging based on what cards were strong at the time, Magic Archer being versatile enough to fit into a variety of deck types, and his ability to deal with swarms and provide solid chip damage, all that made him a viable addition to many new strategies. Whether it was as a support card or as a sniping tool, Magic Archer's impact in 2022 remained strong, and he continued to be a staple in top-tier decks. This is what I really like about the Magic Archer. It's not just a card that works well in a single strategy in its own decks. It works everywhere if he is played right. The usage rates for Magic Archer in 2022 remained relatively consistent, fluctuating between 7% and 10% over the months. This stability showed that even with new cards and evolving strategies, Magic Archer continued to maintain a solid place in the meta. While his usage didn't skyrocket to the same levels as some other cards, his steady presence indicated that players still found value in his unique abilities, especially with his long range and ability to deal with swarms. His versatility in various deck types kept him relevant and effective throughout the year. In November, that usage rate was 3% because of the new Broken Phoenix and Monk, but after those two got killed off, the usage rate went back to normal levels. In 2023, Supercell introduced the Super Magic Archer during a special event. This version was slower than the regular Magic Archer, but his arrows could switch enemy troops' positions. However, shooting the same troop again would reverse the effect. The event was pretty fun, and Super Magic Archer was a very strong card in it. Magic Archer's usage rates for 2023 remained consistent with the previous year, averaging around 6%. This was expected given the growing number of cards in the game. However, the evolution update did hurt his viability, especially with the dominance of the OP and broken Evo Knight. In October, he also got a nerf for some reason. Supercell increased his first attack time interval to 0.8 seconds from 0.5, reason being the following, quote, "The Magic Archer has risen significantly in use rate in the current meta due to mostly his ability to chip away at towers from a distance. This change increases the window that the opponent has to counter that play." So they decreased his use yet again. In March of 2024, they adjusted his first attack speed again, this time to 0.7 seconds. Many saw this as a huge buff, and as a result, Magic Archer became popular yet again. But in top ladder, his usage rate still stayed low, ranging from just 1% to a peak of 4% that month. And that was the last real balance change he got. Well, he did receive a tiny 0.2% HP nerf in October, but let's be honest, that's basically nothing, probably just a rounding error. Magic Archer Minor NATO started making a comeback and ruining every Clash Royale player's lives at the same time. In fact, many popular Magic Archer decks started making a comeback. For example, the Evo Goblin Drill Magic Archer deck. And after the introduction of the Goblinstein champion in October, people started cooking up new decks, one of them being the strong Magic Archer Wallbreaker Cycle deck we went over. According to Surtag here, the deck had a 98% win rate. Yeah, that sure is a lot. There was also the same deck, just without the Goblinstein, and that deck was also pretty trending during this time. When decks are labeled as high skill, they truly meant it. Only top-tier players were using them. Magic Archer was never a noob-friendly card, and with the game now featuring even more mechanics and complexity, he demands even greater skill to use effectively. And now, as of writing this script in March of 2025, Magic Archer is sitting with a proud 5% usage rate in the top ladder. Still holding strong. If you found this video fascinating, then you can't miss our deep dive into the Tesla and how Clash Royale utterly ruined it. There's a lot more to this card, and, well, buildings in general than you might think. So click here to check it out, and I'll see you there.
That was a good video. Okay, please like and subscribe if you can, and we can watch more if you want, and I'll be posting more, so keep in touch, and please like and subscribe. Okay? Bye.